Amanda, I'd like to talk to you about how to listen to your body. In a world that tells us to suppress symptoms with medications, what do you think are some of the first signs or messages your body sends to you when its terrain is out of balance?
Well, there are always subtle signs first. You'll always see, well, you won't always see them. They're subtle. So, like if we had real doctors, okay, if we had real medicine and real doctors, you would never need a drug and you would never need a surgery. And, so like in Tibet and China, they used to have it. So if you got sick, then your doctor would never get paid. You're only going to pay a doctor if you're not sick, but if you get sick, then they don't get paid.
Can you imagine how quickly our industry would clean itself up if that was the case here?
Oh yeah, I'd love that. Love that. So preventing illness should be the first phase of any health practitioner, right? But so I actually get very excited if I ever, when I was taking a lot of patients, I would always get very excited when I'd see someone who actually came in health and wanted to prevent disease. It was very rare, but you did get a few like that. And that was kind of exciting. But normally it's like, or usually it would be like the dregs that got kicked out of the doctor's office, like go pack your things and write your will because we're done with you. And we've meddled with you, messed with you, mucked with you, removed organs and, cut, burned and poisoned you. And then you get those kind, which are very difficult, right, at that phase. And so the early stuff is where a doctor or someone who's trained to see those signs should be present ultimately, because unless you want to learn them, which you can, but again, you're inside of you, you're not getting an objective idea of yourself. So are you really going to notice the tongue changing unless you're really looking for it and you know what you're seeing? Like everyone should be looking at their tongue every day because that will give you huge feedback. You could do iridology. Iridology will tell you what organ systems are having a struggling time right now. Taking your pulse, Chinese pulses, there's basically 6 different pulses and each have 3 layers. And that can also give you indications of how your organs are doing. You don't need to take a blood test. You don't need to have an x-ray. You can literally look at the body and get signs from the way the body's speaking. And we've lost a lot of this art. I mean, yes, you can look under the eye to see if the iron is low, and you can check the sallowness. You can look at someone and get a lot of information, the way they walk, the way their energy is, like all those signs. So essentially, by the time it's sort of showing up, you'll feel like lethargy or not sleeping well, or ask yourself the question, am I eating right? Am I drinking a lot of alcohol? That medical examiner show I was mentioning, how many deaths were from alcohol? I mean, I would say 75, or so of natural causes were alcohol related deaths, and totally preventable, right? I mean, and that means where's the emotional landscape? Or how are you managing how you're feeling in your inner world? Are you able to express yourself properly? Are you moving your body? Are you sweating on a regular basis? Are you getting enough sunlight? Are you grounding? Are you wearing polyester? Like all of those things can give you a sort of that's why I actually wrote this one course, self-assessment course. So when I wrote the self-assessment course, it was specifically for this. Okay. Yeah. Because we have to ask ourselves questions to check in. Otherwise, you just go about your day busy and you do not say, hey, wait a second, I haven't eaten properly and I've been on the road and I haven't slept and da-da-da. So those are all kind of stressors of the body that can lead to later disease. And that's where we want to kind of pay attention at the beginning. And then, of course, bowel health. Is part of that. How many people don't poop every day? Yeah. Loads. A lot. Yeah. So you got a lot of people walking around full of shit and wondering. Potty. And yeah, get a squatty potty. I have a squatty potty on every toilet, okay? Because that's proper pooping. But some people don't even poop every day, right? And they're not eating enough or properly enough to have everything moving and mobilizing out. So so early signs are really about tiredness, about your mental faculty, your emotional reality, and how you're coping with things, your stress response, And then little things like your skin, you know, are you having rashes? Are you getting a lot of acne? That shows you
Changing body odor is one's a big sign for me as well.
body odor. Body odor can change for a lot of reasons. I noticed during perimenopause, I get all kinds of different things going on too, because everything's shifting. So sometimes it can be like a natural detox moment of weird stuff being thrown off, because let's face it, we are being inundated with chemicals all over the place. And
Let me just
some of those things are
interject real
stinky.
quick. Let me just interject with a real quick story. When my partner had breast cancer and we started to do a real big detox protocol, got rid of the alcohol, got rid of all the coffees and the teas, and really trimmed everything down and started to do a load more work, we were on a plane going into Europe one time, and she started to sweat, and then literally all this on her t-shirt went black with all the junk that was coming out of her, the nodes under her armpits. It was amazing. I mean, she smelled horrible, but I was so excited to see all that crap coming out of her system.
Exactly. Yeah. The body will get rid of it the best it can. And to remember that how intelligent and genius this design is, and there's nothing wrong with it and nothing needs to be cut out. I've saved like so many gallbladders over the years, and appendices, you know, because they're so quick to want to remove in those scenarios. But you can actually, first of all, you can prevent, but when it gets to emergency stage, you still can act and save those organ systems. But you do have to know what to do, obviously, which is part of why I'm here to train and to teach and, you know, help people feel empowered so they can doctor themselves.
How would you say that a modern diet and modern lifestyle, which we're often encouraged to just take a pill to feel better and get on with their day, how do you think they suppress the signals and contribute to chronic disease in people?
The lifestyle suppression, you mean?
Well, the modern diet where we tend to eat on the fly, we're eating packaged food, processed food, snack foods. We're not eating proper natural foods. But on the other side of it, we tend to I've got a headache, I'll take this pill, or I've got a cold coming and I'll take this. Well, they're not allowing the natural expression you've talked about. It's just a suppression, isn't it? So you're filling yourself with toxins on the one hand, and then when your body's trying to express the toxins out, you're saying, no, that's not convenient. You hang on to that stuff.
Well, a lot of it is trying to avoid the inevitable, which is suffering, because what I've learned is that this place offers challenge, and you're meant to actually not avoid it. You're just actually supposed to go through and achieve. And the suffering aspect is transformative. So what I mean is, if something has upset you, then it's supposed to be a time of reflection and a time of integration of whatever that trigger was or whatever that, you know, experience was. And people don't do any of that integration. And so they walk around just collecting experiences that just sit on the shelf and don't get integrated, which means that eventually their worldview or the way that they're seeing things is kind of skewed. And they just want the suffering that they know is kind of underlying to go away, right? Like they're uncomfortable about something, or whether on any realm, mental, emotional, physical, there's a discomfort and they know that they need to change. There's something that is off, but they would rather put it off and distract themselves and not look at that, because it means they have to go through some level of discomfort, right? They have to go through something painful or uncomfortable. And the way that our handlers have created this reality is all about convenience and ease and hedonism, really, right? Like just seek joy only and don't like look at the dark stuff or the bad things, like ignore that. And that's to our peril, because we lose our resilience when we don't go through rites of passage that transform us and make us stronger, right? And really, what is health is ultimately resilience. And we do not come into that without acknowledgement and acceptance of all those aspects of what our life is trying to teach us. And I think just the popping the pill or the suppression of the pain, whereas I totally understand that you're trying to get along with your day and you have a lot of stuff to do. And it's definitely not shaming or blaming anyone who does this. But at some point, schedule a retreat or schedule a vacation or schedule time where you can write out your feelings, sit with the discomfort, own what it is, integrate it properly. Because unfortunately, that's how monsters are made, right? Because without that, then it becomes a projection, because eventually that pile gets too big and it just spills over and spills out of you. And then that really deteriorates the system further, where that pill that you suppress eventually will stop working. And you'll have to face what it is. And then that's a very monumentous thing to face. And that's very overwhelming. Whereas if you just did it when it came up, then it's not such a big deal. It's kind of like, when your kitchen is dirty and then you cook in a dirty kitchen and then you still keep doing that, that is very overwhelming to clean the kitchen, obviously. But if you clean as you go, right, then it's all integrated and it's managed better, and there's not such an overwhelming moment.
Yeah, absolutely. That was beautifully put. Thank you. So I don't think there's anything else you need to add to that. I think one of the comments that I would make based on that was I was thinking back to what life used to be like before we had, all the pulls on us socially, the social media, the 24/7 emails, 24/7 phone calls. When you used to get up, you went to work, you came home, and then you had your evening to do your own stuff. And you had time at the weekend to do stuff as well, where you could do this introspection, reflection. You could be sat with your friends talking things through to make sense of all the dramas and stuff that were going on. That's really hard to get these days because there's so many calls on our attention and distractions in life.
Oh yeah, and that's by design.
Mm-hmm.
to do, right? And it's also there's a lot of addiction problems there too, because of not dealing right with it. Then it becomes about burying constantly, and then that becomes an addiction. And things that fire together wire together. We know that about the brain, and every habit becomes part of your lifestyle, essentially, right? Mm. So those little habits that you build throughout your day become part of who you are. And that's why it's really important to choose your habits wisely, and not take lightly of, your choices. To really, but if we had a world where people were contemplating, people were getting together and having sharing circles, or, hugging it out, or, whatever, if that was like part of normal culture, we would be such a robust culture, because we would be able to feel comfortable enough to express where we were at and not feel shame or swallow it down. I mean, we see this even more so, I think, with men, where the conditioning is like, don't cry, don't do that, like hide yourself, hide how you really feel, and then just become a monster behind closed doors, right? And that's really unfortunate. Unfair.
You've seen me, I didn't get that memo.
What's that?
You saw me, I didn't get that memo.
Yes. But ultimately, like our culture has become, like that, where we're just not allowing for the proper expressions in a healthy way, and which it starts at childhood, so I get it, right? And so teaching our children how to express themselves, how to release their emotions, how to even name their emotions and then work through them, that prevents a lot of addictions later on.
Fantastic. Thank you.